Okay, awesome. Yeah, so welcome to the Recovery Warriors podcast here, where we honor the stories of those who have walked the path of healing from substance use. Each episode will sit with individuals who have showed resiliency and who share their journeys and struggles and strengths and renewals. These stories are not just about overcoming addiction, but are a testament to the power of community, culture, self-determination. So join us as we listen, learn, and find inspiration from those who have reclaimed their lives, like in a sense, out of a pit of hell, I guess. Does that remind you of some kind of image there in the treatment center? Yeah. So today we have a very special guest here, Vince Wishart. He's a co-founder of Love Alive. I don't know if you wanted to introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm nobody special. I had this guy that came to one of my groups one time, and in the Well Bride groups, and Eagle Little Boy. I got to give him credit here because he used to say, "I don't know nothing about nothing." I was just like, "What?" And when I first started hearing that, I was like, "What?" And then it started to make more sense to me, and more sense. And you know what? Now I've written that in every book that I write too. And my dad used to say, "I'm no expert." You know why? Because an X is a has-been and a spurt is a drip under pressure. But I have been blessed in this life to get a lot of really good teachers. So all I'm going to do is really basically kind of repeat what they said.
Awesome. Yeah. Right. So cool. Yeah. So you've been doing this for a while then, I guess?
I have been beating my head against the wall, making all kinds of mistakes for decades and decades and decades. Yes, I
have. Yeah, I'm just starting.
Cool. Yeah. So like, I mean, I was raised in a religious cult, kind of the traumas there kind of it's kind of parallel, like almost like residential school traumas and stuff like that. And so I've got a real compassion for people who've been through cults or residential school traumas. And actually, it's a back burner project at the moment, but I have written a book called Healing from Religious Oppression and Trauma. And I'd like to do some groups around that online, catering to that particular audience. So, yeah, but it's like that, all those traumas. And then I was able to flee the cult and get out of that. And then, and I remember when I went and told one of the cult leaders, I said, "I'm done. Like, forget it. I'm not doing this anymore." And I went and had sex for the first time. That's a big no-no. And they're like, "Oh, you're gonna have a judicial meeting." Oh, and I'm like, no. I'm done with judicial meetings. See ya. I was 19 years old. And I remember feeling so good about myself until that door closed in behind me, and then click, when that thing went click or thud or whatever, all of a sudden I realized, what have I done? I have no people in the world. My family won't talk to me. All my 5,000 of my closest friends won't talk to me. And while you're in the cult, you're not allowed to have friends outside the cult. Wow. I was alone, dude. Absolutely alone in the world. And it was terrifying. It was really terrifying. And so I found solace in drugs and alcohol. Found people who had it and you were okay with it. And it was all fun and games until things start getting kind of ugly. But mine would, like some people, they can pick up a drug or an alcohol and they can put it down later, right? And me, I wasn't one of those kind of people. My traumas fueled me to have to keep, that solution, stay out of pain. My little interior protectors were like, no, you got to stay drunk or you got to stay high in order to be okay. And so that was the belief system I carried for a long, long time. So it took me a long time. I was in and out of recovery for many years. I've managed to stitch together 17 years this time around of consecutive clean time. But, it had to finally get to a place where it was a bottom sufficient to myself to cause myself to want to make that change in my life. So moving ahead, I started to see that people at 5 years clean and sober had a different set of problems. I went into, let me see, I guess, how many years was I when I was? Probably around 5 years. I got lucky and started going to these like group therapy, deep dive, experiential exercise type workshops where we just, go in and reenact traumas and stuff like that, like really heavy duty stuff, so that we could come out into the light on the other side. And I began to have a love for that work. And I said to myself, one day I am going to do that. So my mentor who was facilitating those groups, he just died recently. I got to be by his bedside in Calgary and sing him a nice Lakota going home song. There was 9 of us in the room while he took his maid and passed on to the other side, died of cancer. So a beautiful man. So now me and a few other people from that group are actually publishing all his written works too. So to honor him up on the other side, make sure that gets out to the 5 English speaking countries and stuff like that. So it's been pretty nice. But that so that really kind of like speaks to why I got into the work that I've been doing. So like my beloved Rebecca and I have a business called Love Alive. Our niche is emotional fluency, and then the sub niches would be how it pertains to relationships, how it pertains to communication, and how it pertains to recovery. So so I've got two programs I'm running right now simultaneously in one group on Facebook called Mastering Excellence in Recovery. I've written a book on the topic as well called Mastering Excellence in Recovery, and I've also written another book that's very similar that I'm kind of moving and promoting through there. It's called The Awakening of the Spiritual Warrior. It's a novel. It's a story, which is based off of my Qigong teacher, some of my, First Nations teachers along the way. My Qigong teacher is also First Nations. And he's also a black belt in 5 different martial arts, which he doesn't do any of those anymore. He's just about the peace today, right? That peace beyond what I call beyond all comprehension. And that's what I've been able to discover in this amazing realm of inner work that happens in this psychotherapy lineage of Qigong. It's a village tradition, and it's 7,000 years old.
Wow.
So the ancients really knew. They really knew some stuff. And all that practice was banned in China with communism. All came in and wiped out all these Taoist like shamans and stuff like that, or monks or whatever you call them. And then fortunately some people had fled and come over here to North America and were able to carry on the lineages a little bit. But this particular tradition is not it only got a couple teachers, a couple of old ones that have been doing it. So it's pretty neat, and it's quite phenomenal. So when that's incorporated with neuroscience, modern day neuroscience, quantum mechanics, hypnotherapy, and all that, it shows people how to no longer like to move into it. It's like that story of the buffalo, the First Nations grandfather and his grandson are sitting out on the plains, and all of a sudden way in the distance there's a thunder, and the little grandson says to grandpa, sometimes I hear the thunder, I get really scared, and I think there's monsters under my bed, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, grandson, be like the buffalo. And he says, what happens in the storm is the horses, they run around in chaos, and the lightning gets them all scared and everything like that. He says, but the buffalo, what does he do? He turns and he faces directly into that north wind, puts his head down, hunkers down, and just takes all that right in the face. Just bears right into it with courage. The spiritual principle of courage just bears right into it. And my teacher, Kelly Toby, used to say the same thing. You get a feeling you don't know what to do with, you go find yourself a room, you sit in stillness, and you feel that feeling fully until you think it might even kill you. And when it doesn't kill you, you have victory over it. And so the same with the buffalo. When the storm's over, he just toodles about his business again. But so the story is to be like the buffalo, and have that courage. That's what it takes to do the kind of work we're going to do. It's courage. And you don't have to do it alone. We have support, lots of it. So I've got some great new coaches that are helping me out in this to teach these courses and reading the materials and getting that all out to the new participants and stuff like that. So it's really turning into something really big and beautiful and something that is probably what I'm most passionate about when I really dial in to all the different passions that I have, because some people call it ADHD. I call it multi-passionate. And it's hard to dial it all into one kind of thing. So I managed to get it into like about 4 things, which is emotional fluency with those things in it. So yeah, that's kind of kind of where we're going with it all.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'd like to have a little bit of multiple, what is it called again?
Multi-passionate.
Yeah, multiple passionate, yeah. So, can you tell us about the core principles of mastering excellence in recovery? Like, how does it differentiate itself from other recovery programs?
Well, sure. It's like most recovery programs are focusing on the newcomer, and it's just the way it is. The main problem is with newcomers, and so they don't see what happens 5 years down the road with the person when they start getting the itchy, bitchy, and twitchies. There isn't a lot of support around that. So we're tailored for individuals with more than 5 years clean and sober. I mean, this can go right up to 30, 40, 50 years sober too, right? Everybody has those same things. And if we start becoming complacent in our recovery and things like that, then it gets to be an issue. What I've noticed is that people haven't been going very deep. Like traditional 12-step recovery programs kind of scratches the surface. And in order to get this peace beyond all comprehension, a person has to go deep and regularly and consistently. So I've developed a phenomenal program where people can do just that on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I call it going to the deep end of the ocean. They just stay in the the shallow end.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's from experience. Like I think I've been to the deep end of the ocean, man. And sometimes I almost discourage. I don't know. I just got to a point where I almost discourage people from getting into recovery. It's too hard. It's too difficult. It's too challenging. You have to prepare yourself, almost like But
Right.
yeah. Well, because it reminds me of that saying. God only gives you what you could handle, and then I'm sitting there thinking, I can't handle this, man. yeah. But I guess I got through those days too. So, what inspired you to create Mastering Excellence in Recovery? Like specifically, like why focus on 5 years or more?
Yeah, there's just a specific set of problems that happen for people at 5 years or more. And they're just like, okay, so you sit in a meeting and everybody's looking at the newcomer, sending their comments to a newcomer, everything like that in a meeting, let's say. And then the guy over there with 5 years, clean and sober, he hasn't yet done much counseling. If he's done any, he hasn't done any deep dive experiential exercises yet, typically. Nor has he sat in group therapy. Nor has he done any of the things that Bill W. calls the outside help. So I was a hard learner, man. I got up to 7 years a couple times and went back out. I'm the hard learning guy. I've made all the mistakes. And so what I've discovered is a way for me to show people the mistakes I've made so they actually don't have to make them. Right. So, this idea has been around the rooms of recovery, but I haven't seen it like people don't internalize it when they hear it. So through guided meditations and through deeper subconscious work, unconscious work, I connect people up to the superconscious mind, the higher mind, through breath work and all these different things so that they can have a true internalization. They can witness themselves making the mistakes that I made if they go down this path or if they go down that path, giving them the clarity of mind to be able to connect to a higher mind, to be able to see the two different paths. Because like my teacher, Kelly Toby, he used to talk about how do you connect with your intuition? He used to ask that, right? And he said the intuition has a really soft, quiet voice. And then you have your monkey mind that goes on and they're like really loud today, and it always comes with the demand. The monkey mind comes with the demand. It's like, oh, you have to do this or else, right? Whereas the intuition will talk in a really kind, calm voice, very quiet. So you actually got to get rid of the monkey mind voice, and you got to do that through the breath. Listen to that, and then listen down into the quieter voice. I remember one time in a workshop, Kelly actually took 3.5 minutes to turn off his monkey minds first before he could get his intuitive voice from the inside, and that's what he acts from. He acts from his intuition every time. He's an intuitive, deep spiritual counselor. This guy is amazing. And so that's like one piece to the puzzle. Like that's just one little piece, but there's so many different aspects of life at 5 years abstinent, which does not equal recovery. Abstinence does not equal recovery. No, 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 no. Happy, joyous, and free equals recovery. That's being restored back to our innocent self, restored back to our authentic self, which as our authentic self, we can move out into the world to create our ultimate purpose for being here. Without that, we're never going to be stepping into our purpose. Our purpose is not to suffer, is not to like have all this trauma following us around and all that. It's not. Our purpose is to shine our light brightly and carry our innocent child out there into the world so that we can have rapport and influence and really help others do the same. And it's usually going to be in some kind of service, because that is the ultimate drug of choice for me, being of service. And I get high all the time. Oh, actually, I do get high in Qigong too. Some of the breath works and stuff are so psychedelic. It's just like you're like launched out into other universes. You think you're on some big DMT trip or something like that. So yes, I do get high. And I don't have any problems from getting high today. So some people, you know, they really want that. Oh, I got to have my escape. I got to have high, you know, that sort of thing. But there is right ways to get high, and they don't really teach people about that a whole bunch in the rooms of recovery. But I think like when I came into recovery, Jackson, I said, my sponsor said, oh, you can choose the higher power that you want. I said, okay, then. And out of spite, I kind of said, I choose a higher power that wants me high.
Did it work?
It did. Oh my God. I went to this meeting in NA and they said, hey, you want to get high? Do H&I. I said, oh, where's that? Where do I get it? And so I signed right up. They had a sign up place over there. I signed right up and I started taking meetings into this place in Calgary. It's basically this treatment center in this humongous teepee. It's shaped like a teepee. Sunrises, I think it's called. And I started taking meetings into this place because they couldn't get out to regular meetings, so I'd have to bring the meeting to them. Dude, I got high. And I wake up in the morning with no hangover. And my wallet still had money in it. I was like, what the heck? This is a good drug. So I stuck with it. That carrying the message, that service, right? Service is my drug of choice today, and it has been for a long, long time. Right?
That's awesome. Yeah. So sounds like that people with less than 5 years, like I make a distinction between active recovery, like that, you know, going out to actively seek it versus passive recovery, just putting a plug in the junk. Nothing really changes. Yeah.
Good one. Great illustration. I love it.
Yeah. So what are some of the key challenges, you know, faced by individuals with long-term sobriety, and how does mastering excellence and recovery address those challenges?
Well, we're multi-dimensional beings that can do and become anything, right? And people don't realize that. I am what I am, and this tiny little expression of me is all I can be. So people need to experience the higher expressions of themselves before they can believe it. And this is the work that we do with hypnotherapy, is doing these like deeper dives into the ultimate expressions that we can be. People really need that. Of course, people become really complacent. So there's ways to shift out of complacency and to get out of routine patterns, cyclical thinking, like a little hamster running on the hamster wheel, doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting different results. We can do that just as well abstinent as we can when we're using drugs, right? And sometimes maybe using drugs are going to be better because you have a bit of a shift in perspective for at least a little bit, but this like ongoing gray area of you know, monotonous recovery. Just if you're not making nothing changes if nothing changes. So we got to keep changing, or else we become very complacent. So those are some of the pieces. So we just offer all kinds of advanced strategies for personal development. Like this is really a personal development course. This is a course that almost people who aren't in recovery don't recognize themselves as having an addiction. But I disagree. Everybody's got some manifestation of addiction going on. Something's going on. Somebody's watching a little porn on the side. Somebody's smoking a little cigarette over here. Somebody's doing some kind of anxiety binding behavior to help them deal in today's society. Like just about everyone. I'm not going to say everyone. There's a few monks around who are probably not doing that. So this idea of addiction switching to get to an addiction that's less harmful. So now we're just in harm reduction. And what does harm reduction do? I'm not a big proponent of harm reduction, though I've seen it do some really good things that keep people alive for a long period of time, and I have actually seen people recover. So I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm just saying that harm reduction idea, it bothers me. It's like the same with the corporations in the world. You try to get a corporation up there on the stock market to sell something that's like a closed loop sustainable system that's good for the earth. Just try getting a corporation up there that does that. They don't exist. You can't find it on the stock market anywhere. So the whole world is in this harm reduction model right now. And I think there's more. I think we can do better. And this program offers better. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So like, do you have like a success story or like a testimonial of?
Oh God, I got lots of them from like, yeah, like I've got lots of them from, let me see if I can pull one up. Hang on a sec here. Yeah, okay. So like one participant, after completing their Mastering Excellence in Recovery course, shared that it helped them rediscover their purpose and passion in life. They found new ways to contribute to their community and developed a sense of fulfillment and happiness. Their story is just one example of how MEIR can transform lives by providing the tools and support needed for sustained excellence in recovery. Yeah. So the thing is like I have so many success stories from Wellbriety, which was this ceremonial version of the steps. And even Wellbriety itself has kind of a ceremonial format for a layout for that. But we took it a little deeper. We had a sacred fire going the whole time. We really called in the directions and the spirits of the ancestors of the people that we work with to look over this. And so when these participants are in the presence of their ancestors, these spirit beings are sitting with them in a sacred circle, a hochoka. That's what we call sacred circle in Lakota. So when they're sitting there with them, beside them, they almost know that they can't lie because they've been watching their whole life anyway. Right? So you can't pull any wool over an ancestor's eyes. It's just like they know they're right there beside them. So I had this one Wellbriety group. It was actually so funny. This one guy, because there's a bunch of readings we have to do before we start jumping into the steps. And as soon as we got to step one, we started out the sharing circle, and he just puked out all his deepest, darkest secrets. Just all it was like, dude, this isn't until step 4. But he set a precedent. And everybody else in that group, all 20 of these guys that went around the circle, and they kept puking out all their deepest, darkest secrets. And I was like, who am I to say this is wrong? Get it out of you, right? We had this big puke fest of ugly garbage. And man, oh man, every single one of those guys just rocked recovery after that. Like once those secrets are up and out, man, how freeing. We don't have to carry those burdens. And what I found is like, of course, I was running Wellbriety for men's groups, hey? And men have a certain set of problems. And honestly, in most of the groups I've done anyway, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but it's usually sexual stuff. So it's been so nice to have a space where these men can just like talk about this stuff openly and freely in a non-shaming, non-judgmental environment. Yeah, it's been so lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I think it's really important. Newton Bill said, "We're only as sick as our secrets."
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. How does one incorporate MEIR elements of personal growth and self-development, like just beyond hanging in there, maintaining sobriety?
Right. So we need a balanced life. So as like in the First Nations way of doing things, we don't point fingers and say that person's bad. We point fingers and say, well, that person's just out of balance, right? They're just not in balance right now. And so I had lots of great First Nations teachers along the way who taught me that. And that one really just like has been solidified in me. So when we're out of balance, that means that we're putting too much of our effort, our mojo, our life force energy in this direction, and we're not paying enough over in this direction. That's all it means. We're just not addressing some aspect of ourselves, or we're avoiding. We could be avoiding, right? A lot of us who've been through trauma will go through these things called attachment styles. We develop attachment style based off of how the relationship and the family, the dynamic in the family, what do you call it? The emotional climate in the family was when we were a child. And if we didn't get that like snuggle up, right up to you, connection time, beaming all that love down into that little baby, then we're going to not have a secure attachment. Secure attachment is what everybody wants. That's the ultimate thing to have. But in today's society, every single person is affected by trauma. So there's actually not that many people with truly good secure attachment styles. So what happens if we don't get those in our formative years, we start to develop these coping mechanisms and strategies that become, like in my case, a disorganized attachment. It's like, hey, come over here and do this. Hey, how come you're not? And then I go do that thing. And then, hey, how come you're doing this? And then I would need you to do this. Or, and you start to get like, where am I at here? Like, so I became very disorganized. So it's hard for a person with disorganized attachment style to heal. It's one of the tougher ones, if not the toughest. So I can honestly say that I've managed to come to a place of healing, which I find absolutely phenomenal. I don't know, maybe you don't, but I do. And I think I got a lot to share around that too, and so I've got all these mistakes that I've made over decades, just like, all these mistakes. And then it really started smoothing out like about 10 years ago. It really got good. And then it's just gotten gooder and gooder and gooder. And now I look back, it's like, okay, so I got these things that I've learned along the way. How can I make it so that the next person doesn't have to make those same mistakes? So we can cut off a lot of that, like decades of recovery time that I had to go through to get where I'm at today. So it's really about having a well-rounded out, fulfilling journey of continuous improvement. So people come on with us, that they're with us for life, right? They have lifetime access to the thing. They're invited to all the events. We're creating an alumni program that is next freaking level, next level. And then everyone can have the opportunity to be able to tap into that. And and some people, especially in this economy, in this day and age, things aren't as easy. So yeah, there is a price point to this, because there's a lot of work that goes into this for sure. And but that I do keep a couple of spots for people who need to apply for a scholarship too, right? So I try to make it as available as possible to everyone. I'm actually, the medicines that I carry in a First Nations way, I carry it the old way, where it's all done by donation. And I'd love to carry this that way too. Unfortunately, we live in this society where, we've got some kind of blocks and restrictions. As a counselor, I can't just say, oh yeah, I'll do it by donation. That doesn't fly with my board of directors that oversees my business and stuff. So we do have to do things in a monetary way. We exist in the system, so we kind of got to work within this system. But the value that I'm giving, like I kind of like, yeah, it's a pretty phenomenal offering, when we add it all up, and then what I actually charge for it is just a small pittance compared. So yeah. So anyway, some people want excellence in recovery. Some people want to live a life that they can call absolutely phenomenal and excellent. And they want to be a high achiever in life, and they want to really leave a legacy for their children, and they want to leave a legacy of their own teachings for the world and stuff. You cannot do that in an unbalanced state. So we need to bring the people up to that place where they are in that really balanced state. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I know that recovery can get confusing from time to time a little bit. Yeah. So yeah. So it sounds like this process, helps people through that confusion state or something.
That's right.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone considering or enrolling in Mastering Excellence in Recovery? Like how could they get started?
Well, I would say take the first step. You're never going to know until you try. We also have an amazing guarantee. Actually, I built 2 guarantees into this thing that makes it like an absolute no-brainer. And if you don't try something new, you're going to. It's like this. If you continue to do the things you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. Pretty simple. So maybe it's time to do a little pattern interrupt in our lives, which is what we call in hypnosis. You need a pattern interrupt to get off that cyclical thinking treadwheel of things. It's like I use this analogy of an old Model T Ford car. You remember those old wooden spoke wheels, and they're thin, thin little wheels. Anyway, it's going in a circle out in the field, and then after a while, it just starts to dig itself in there. Right? It gets right up to the bottom of the car, and it's like, how do you get that car out of there? You can't just steer out. You actually need a pattern interrupt. You kind of got to get in there with a little jolt or a little bit of dynamite or something, blow that car right back out so we can get on the road and keep going. But that's what our minds need too. Our conscious mind just gets in these survival mechanisms, just like, oh, I know how to survive here and this is good. And one of the other pieces I want to bring in that I've experienced in myself a lot in recovery is this idea of the fear of the unknown, which in my opinion is the greatest fear of all, the fear of the unknown. All the guys I've ever worked, I've probably sponsored hundreds of guys in the program over the years, and I've seen it's the same. Their number one fear is the fear of the unknown. And so these guys, they're like, okay, yeah, I want what, like that guy over there with 20 years clean and sober, and he's got the great life and the big house and the beautiful wife, and I want what he's got. Okay, so consciously, yeah, they actually want that, but subconsciously, they're like, oh my God, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. So I do know how to survive over here, and survival is important to me, and I know it's going to cause me a lot of pain, but I'm going to do this instead because I don't actually know how to do that over there. So this is the biggest piece of the puzzle that once a person is helped to like use that courage, that buffalo, step into that storm of the unknown and just do it anyway. And you never have to do it alone. You can always just have somebody there supporting you and just get through that, face your fears, fear of the unknown. On the other side is a massive like dump truck load full of blessings that'll come on you. And it's like, all you got to do is like take that first step to receive it. Right. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So we don't have to do this alone.
No.
Yeah. At 5 years of sobriety, this is what I thought I would be doing. Like, it's like, yeah. But there's so much. There's such a world out there that is undiscovered. I think like we're almost like explorers. Like here we are. Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna embark on a journey. I don't even know that I'm doing that. Day one, say for example, and then we just step into a meeting or however we get into recovery, and then all of a sudden our journey begins. And like they say, I'm allergic to alcohol because it makes me break out in spots like Nanaimo and Port Albert. But so does recovery, man. Like some of the places I've been to in recovery, I've honestly thought to myself, like, I have absolutely no business being here where I'm at right here, right now. But yeah, but that's what happens in recovery, and it's a great journey.
Right. Yeah. One of the things we teach in Qigong is about attuning, right? Because usually people with any kind of addictions issues are usually pretty self-focused, self-consumed. So attuning is like we have this one exercise where we have our fingers way out like cat whiskers, right? And we're breathing at the same time, but we're attuning to the chi of the air around us and really tuning into what's going on around us. And then after that, we extend that out past our house, out past our yard, out past the mountains, out past all the way to the sunset, and just attuning to the chi of the day all the way out there, right? And once we start practicing this practice of attuning, we start to really get into empathy for who and what is going on around us, the people, what's going on for them. We get a little more curious. The compassion starts to come in, and we start to engage with our surroundings a little bit more too, right? So, I mean, the profound benefits of Qigong, and I mean all the rest of the course too, but Qigong, it's a phenomenon I can't even begin to describe. It is so deep and so phenomenal, and you get high all the time, and legally.
And without regret, right? Kind of, you don't wake up say, "Oh man, I did too much qigong yesterday."
Hey, can I use that in copy? I'm gonna write some copy with that in it. Can I?
Yeah.
Oh man, I did too much qigong last night. Oh, I miss you so much, Jackson. Man, we've had so many good times over the year.
Yeah.
And when we were doing that thing at Confidential there, you, me, and Sean was such a good team.
Yeah.
And now we really just dialed her right in. So I'd love to get something like that going, or just any kind of offering we could do together sometime. I just really would love to just be around you more, because you're one of my faves.
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah. This program sounds great too. Like, is it an online program or in person?
Online.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do retreats and things later on. So yeah, this is basically a first beta launch of what this is. So I've got some people out there reading the books and getting brushed up in the content so they can leave some kind of testimonials around it. But once they've actually gone deep into the work, then we'll get a lot of video testimonials, and then we'll be putting it at a much higher price point later. But yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's great.
I'm going to be making some bigger offerings to people, like LinkedIn corporate type stuff coming up after this too. And then after they take that program, then I want to take, guys who own corporations from LinkedIn and take them with their children up to the woods to do like initiation rite type things, do some vision questy type things, do some big hikes, lots of qigong, all that kind of stuff. So I've got this really neat guy from the States, Oren, and he's also a qigong master, and he's far beyond my abilities. But he can do those like little one inch punch, like he can take his one finger like this, or maybe it's like this or something, and he can send you flying 40 feet. Like, this guy's unreal. And and he's got such a peace about him, right? So I said, hey, can you get up on your see, he has one of these big Toyota Land Cruiser diesel big tire things. I said, hey, hop up on there and do some qigong. I'm gonna take a recording of it, and then I'm gonna post that up on LinkedIn, and we're gonna fill courses at like $25,000 a head. Let's go. He says, yeah, let's go. When do we start?
That's awesome. Yeah. My whole thing is about succession planning. Like, I'm not going to be here forever, but I just want to blaze these trails for individuals coming after me, so they have those types of opportunities, because I do believe in them. Like, I pass some people on the street, say, and you wouldn't think twice, but I know them, and then like they do have skills and things that's just covered up by the addiction.
Right. Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's so much beauty and brilliance hiding under all that ugliness and stuff. So there's plenty of programs around for people who are newcomers, but this is a specific niche for people with 5 or more years, clean and sober. So let's dial this in and get this out to those people in the best way possible. And maybe you could even sit in and audit the course or something. So, I wanted to also mention I have 2 courses. So one is Evolved Recovery, which is a 3-day kind of introductory look at what we're doing here, give people some really great practices to move forward with. And then I'm probably going to launch that in about a month and a half. And then the next one after that is the Mastering and Excellence in Recovery, which will be in September, the launch for that one. And that'll be a 10-day, 8-hour days, like deep dive, mega life-changing, totally change the trajectory of someone's life and send it right into their highest good.
Awesome. Yeah.
The highest expression they can be. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like what I need there.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm teaching it.
Awesome. Yeah. So I don't know if you have any final words or any thoughts, or leave the individuals with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to just say that person's ever sitting on the fence, or it's like, hey, it sounds kind of good, but it's like, what is that? What is that? What is the price of it if you don't make change? So kind of try to tally up like financial, mental, spiritual, all that. What is the price if I just stay on the path I'm on right now? Where will I be in 5, 10, 20 years? What does that look like? What kind of legacy are you leaving behind? How much impact have you left on the earth while you were here? Because if you want to leave a much greater impact, a greater legacy, like maybe people won't even know you were here. Maybe just kind of disappear off into the background, never to be thought about again. Like you want to leave books behind. You want to leave like some kind of like, boom, I was here and this is what I came to do and this is my purpose. Or is your purpose to be small? Is your purpose to be a victim? Everybody did this to me. What is it? What is your purpose? And if you want to find out what your purpose is, come join us. Right? Because everyone has an epic purpose to be here. And the only way you're going to find that is through your subconscious mind connecting through a higher intelligence. Like there's a process to it. And if you're not doing that kind of work, it's about time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, thanks for this information. I think you sold me. So
well, I got an irresistible offer right in behind all this too. So yeah, fear not. We'll make it happen. Make it happen for you, right?
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
you have to make it happen for you. You have to have that willingness and that open-mindedness and that honesty with yourself. And when you can do that, you can definitely come and join this winning circle.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So good to see you again, Jackson. Please feel free to call me anytime. I miss you.
Oh, yeah. I miss you too, man.
It's been too long.
Yeah. Cool. So.
Okay, brother. Many blessings.